Welcome and good afternoon. This is Commish Orr, and today is game one of the 1930s World Series of the Best of the Decades tournament using season ticket baseball. And it is a matchup between the 1931 Philadelphia Athletics in the American League and the 1931 St. Louis Cardinals in the National League, which, coincidentally enough, is a rematch of the 1931 World Series between these two teams. So how do we get here? Well, as you can see, I took the top 5 American League and top 5 National League teams of the 1930s based on their ELO ratings and had a tournament, a double elimination tournament, best of 5 series, or best of 5 series leading up to the league championship series here. And then we did have one best of series here between the Cubs and Cardinals, because the Cardinals won this one and they were coming from the losers bracket. That gave the Cubs their first series loss, so then they played another series, best of 7, to determine the winner. So the Cardinals come into the World Series here with one series loss. The Philadelphia Athletics come in with no series losses. And we will be playing between these two teams here today, starting with game one. Again, a rematch of the 1931 World Series, just coincidentally. And if we take a look at the Philadelphia Athletics, they come into game one here. They were 9-5 during the tournament, with a 3.23 team batting average, just incredible, and a 4.26 ERA. Meanwhile, St. Louis also had a 3.23 batting average, but their ERA was 4.02, so slightly better ERA from the Cardinals, but both teams just offensive powerhouses. Now, if you want to follow the action, you can head over to baseballmaelstrom.com, and if you head over to baseballmaelstrom.com, I have 2 projects going on right now, but you can click on the Best of the 30s tournament here, and you can see a little write-up on each game, and all the past games of the tournament, as well as the tournament bracket itself. So, with all that said, we head to game one here. And let's take a look. This will be at Shibe Park. Philadelphia is the home team. They have home field advantage because they were the highest seeded team in the tournament, based again on those ELO ratings of these two teams. And for the Cardinals, leading off will be Sparky Adams playing third base. George Watkins will be playing right field, batting second. Frankie Frisch will be batting third at second base. Jim Bottomley will be DHing in the 4 spot. And yes, I am using a DH for both teams in this series, even though the DH was not in use in 1931. Chick Hayfield will be batting 5th in left field. Pepper Martin, center field, batting 6th. Ripper Collins will be playing first base and batting 7th. Charlie Gelbert will be playing shortstop and batting 8th. And finally, Jimmy Wilson will be catching for the Cardinals today and batting 9th. On the mound for the Cardinals will be Bill Hallahan. He did have the most starts for the Cardinals. Now, one thing I'll note is that Philadelphia hasn't played for a while, so they were able to kind of reset their starting rotation. Meanwhile, since the Cardinals went 7 games, they have some pitchers that have that are still a little tired today. That being said, Bill Hallahan was their number 1 starter in the tournament, and so it just so happened that to line up that he will be starting this game for the Cardinals. On the mound for Philadelphia is Lefty Grove, Hall of Famer Lefty Grove. He was 31-4 that year with a 2.06 ERA, just incredible. He hasn't quite been that dominant here in the tournament, but we'll see how things shape up for him here today. Hopefully you'll be able to see all the action. I have an Excel dice roller here that we'll be using for the results. I have some little defensive cheat sheets here that we'll be using. And let's get started with the first pitch to Sparky Adams from Lefty Grove. 436. And that is going to be a ground out to short. Williams takes that one and throws over to Fox for out number 1. And actually, we can take a look at the defense and starting lineup for Philadelphia here as well. Max Bishop will be playing second base and batting leadoff for Philadelphia. Mule Haas will be in center field, batting second. Mickey Cochran, Hall of Famer Mickey Cochran, catching for Philadelphia, batting third. Al Simmons will be batting fourth in left field. Jimmy Fox playing first base, batting fifth. Bing Miller will be batting sixth, and he is playing right field. Jimmy Dykes will be batting seventh at third base. Dib Williams playing shortstop and batting eighth. And finally, Eric McNair will be DHing for Philadelphia today. All right. With Sparky Adams retired, George Watkins steps to the plate. 420. And that is another ground ball, this time to second, and Bishop will throw over to Fox for out number 2. 2 easy grounders here to start the first inning. Brings up Frankie Frisch. 188. And that is a pop-up. Pop-up to first. Fox will be able to haul it in just beyond first base bag. And that will be out number 3. 3 up, 3 down for the Cardinals. And we head to the bottom of the first. Max Bishop stepping in against Bill Hallahan. Max Bishop has hit 273 in the tournament so far. 205 is a 405, and he draws a leadoff walk here for Philadelphia. He will not be attempting a steal. And that will bring up Mule Haas. He has a high bunt rating. I know there's new bunt rules, and I'll probably follow those new bunt rules starting with the next tournament that I do. But for this one, I'm not. The new bunt rules, I believe, if the D20 roll is lower than the bunt rating, then you add it to the bunt rating for purposes of determining whether a bunt takes place. But I'm not going to follow those rules for this tournament since I haven't so far in the tournament. I don't want to switch things up here just for the World Series. Mule Haas steps in, 567, and that's to Gelbert. But he's not able to get a handle on it, and that's going to be an error. He bobbles it. And now we have runners on first and second, and we're going to hit the heart of the Philadelphia lineup here, 3, 4, and 5. Cochran, Simmons, and Fox. Dangerous part of the lineup here. Let's see if Hallahan can negotiate the lineup. 381. And that's going to be another single. Bishop's going to score on that one. Haas holds at second. And Hallahan in some trouble here in the first inning. Al Simmons steps to the plate. 621. That will become a 631 since it's home team. And a 631 is going to be a fielder's choice. Frisch flips over to Gelbert. They cannot complete the double play, however. But they do get Cochran there at second. So we have runners on the corners with 1 out. And Jimmy Fox steps in. And the Cardinals are playing straight up here, hoping for a double play. 514. They're not going to get the double play. In fact, Hallahan's only play is going to be to first base here. That's going to allow Haas to score. And Simmons moves to second. So that error already has cost a run here in the first inning. Bing Miller steps in with 2 out. Runner on second. 494. That is a deep fly ball to center. But Martin has plenty of room just in front of the warning track, and he hauls it in for out number 3, but not before Philadelphia gets 2 runs. The Cardinals pitching here, which is, as I mentioned before, had probably the lowest ERA, well, the lowest ERA between these two teams, already behind here in the first inning. So we head into the second inning. Jim Bottomley will step in against Lefty Grove. 365, and that is going to be a grounder to first. Fox takes it himself for out number 1. Chick Hafey steps in. Hafey hitting .462 in the tournament. Just incredible. He led the National League in batting average. Very tough to get him out. .304. But Grove fools him on that pitch. And he looks at strike 3 go by for out number 2. Pepper Martin steps in. 2 down, nobody on. .262, and that's going to be another strikeout. Grove with back-to-back strikeouts here in the second inning. So far, the Cardinals cannot figure him out. We head to the bottom of the second. Hallahan will face the bottom of the Philadelphia order, starting with Jimmy Dykes. .589, and that is going to be one that Martin's not able to get to, and that's going to be a base hit for Dykes. Once again, they have a leadoff hitter on base. Dib Williams steps in. Williams did hit .368 during the tournament. .522, but he is going to strike out in this case. That brings up McNair. McNair, an .098 hitter, sadly. .682, that's going to be a base hit probably. That will become a .692. And .692 is a double. Double into the gap for McNair. Jimmy Dykes holds up at third. And we are back to the top of the order with runners in scoring position once again. Hallahan just having a tough time figuring out this Philadelphia lineup so far. Infield will be in this case. .258. And that's just what Hallahan needed. He strikes out Bishop here for out number 2. So, defense is back to normal depth for Mule Haas, who reached on an error in the first inning. 649 becomes a 659. And that's going to be a bloop base hit that's going to score both runners. So Haas drives in 2 more runs here in the second, and suddenly Philadelphia is up 4-0. Hallahan trying to get out of this one. Cochran to the plate, .481, and that's going to be a deep fly ball to the warning track. But Martin hauls that one in for out number 3. So St. Louis really behind the 8 ball here. They'll try to get something going here in the top of the third with Ripper Collins leading off. .553, and that is a grounder to Dykes. Dykes over to Fox for out number 1. So far, Cardinals haven't even gotten one out of the infield here. Charlie Gilbert will try to change that as he steps in. .409, and he will draw a walk from Grove. So Cardinals finally get their first base runner here. And that brings up Jimmy Wilson, who only hit .226 during the tournament. .648. .648. And that's a grounder to short. Williams over to Bishop. They cannot turn 2, but they do get the lead runner here. And that gets us back to the top of the order, Sparky Adams. .430, and that's another grounder to short. Once again, Williams will flip to Bishop for out number 3 here. And it's another scoreless inning for the Cardinals. So far, Cardinals offense has been shut down by Grove here. Hallahan does come out to pitch the third inning here. He's going to see what he can do here against Al Simmons. 7:04 when we add for the home field advantage, and that's going to be a deep to center field. 12:19. It's a clear day, by the way. No wind. 70 degrees. 19 to center, and that is deep and gone from Al Simmons. Leadoff homer here. And that one's out of here. So if we look, he is now vulnerable to fatigue in just the third inning here. Jimmy Fox steps in. 488. Now that's going to be another deep fly ball to center. This time, though, Martin hauls it on the warning track for the first out. Bing Miller steps to the plate. 184, and he walks Miller. It's one level of fatigue now for Hallahan. And he may not last too far into this game here. Jimmy Dykes steps to the plate. 342. And that's another fly out to center field. Martin getting some action out there. He has room to haul this one in for out number 2. Dib Williams, who struck out in his last at bat. 536. That one just gets by Collins for a base hit to right. Miller will hold at second. And that puts a runner in scoring position for McNair, who doubled in his last at bat. 548. And that is another error, this time on Frisch. The Cardinals just with some really sloppy play here today, as Frisch can't get a hold of that one. And we have the bases loaded with the top of the order coming to bat, Max Bishop. Hallahan just trying to get out of this inning. 142. And that is a wild pitch. That moves everybody up. Bing Miller will score. Max Bishop still at the plate. 342. And that's a little dribbler. Nobody's going to be able to get to that one in time. Now we have runners on the corners. Another run scores. Mule Haas steps in. Hallahan will be done after this inning. 388. He'll actually be done before that, as Mule Haas drills one into the outfield, scoring the 8th Philadelphia run, and that is all she wrote for Hallahan. Hallahan, a terrible start. With Hallahan out after 2 2/3. They will turn to the bullpen here, and I believe they'll bring in, eat some innings here with down 8 to nothing. They'll bring in Alan Stout. Not a good first game if you are a Cardinals fan here. Alan Stout comes in to pitch for the Cardinals, and he will face Mickey Cochran. We still have runners on first and second, but there are 2 outs. First pitch from Stout, 437. And he will get out of this inning with a grounder to second. Frisch flips to Gelbert for out number 3. But Philadelphia bats around in that inning and scores another 4 runs. Grove is going to have an easy time in this game, up 8 to nothing. Watkins will step in first. And that one's in the gap. Gets by Haas into the wall. And finally, the Cardinals have their first hit. Watkins pulls into second base here. Frankie Frisch will step in. Hitting 370 so far in the tournament. 247. And he strikes him out. That will bring up Bottomley. Bottomley hitting 302. Shown some power lately, but not in this case. 367 is going to be a grounder to first. Fox will take it to the bag himself, and Watkins will advance to third on the play, I believe. Just double check. I'm 95% sure. Yes. All right. Chick Hafey. 2 outs. Runner on. And he strikes him out. Hafey, who has been a terror during the tournament, has struck out 2 times already this game. And that ends the inning. So the Cardinals, they do get their first hit, but still no score for the Cardinals. Stout will face Simmons here in the 4th. 317, and he strikes out Simmons for out number 1. He's having a little bit easier time than Hallahan had, apparently. Brings up Jimmy Fox. 206. That's a 406 redirect, and Fox draws a walk here in the 4th. So Fox's first time on base. He's not looking to steal here. Big Miller steps to the plate with 1 out, and Fox on first. 230, and Miller's a righty, and then he strikes him out. That's a second strikeout so far for Stout. Jimmy Dykes steps in, 2 down now. Let's see if they can get through and have a scoreless inning here. 439, and they will. That's a grounder to short. Gilbert to Frisch there at second base for the 3rd out. And finally, the Cardinals get a scoreless inning here. Just what they needed. Now they need to get the offense rolling if they want to have a chance in this game. Pepper Martin will step in against Lefty Grove here in the 5th. And that's an easy fly ball to Miller. Miller hauls it in for out number 1. Ripper Collins. He had 298 so far in the tournament. 151, and that's a dribbler in front of the plate. Cochran will be up with it over to Fox for out number 2. Charlie Gilbert steps in, 547, and that's going to be another base hit, as Bishop can't quite get a handle on that one. Gets past him. Jimmy Wilson steps in, 2 down. 241. And that is going to be another strikeout. That's the 5th strikeout for Grove. And he is cruising in this game. 8-4, or excuse me, 8-0 as we head to the bottom of the 5th here. Stout will face the bottom of the Philadelphia order here. Dib Williams steps in first. And that one's in the gap. That's going to be a double, a leadoff double from Williams. Once again, Philadelphia with the leadoff hitter on base. And that brings up Eric McNair. 398, and that one is deep. McNair with his 2nd home run of the tournament. Out of here. And now Philadelphia is up 10-0 here in game 1. Stout is now subject to fatigue. Actually, he would have been anyway with his 2 innings. So he has a fatigue level of 2 already. And I believe he will be pulled here in the 5th. So Stout pitches an inning and a third. And and they will turn to another pitcher. I believe it's going to be Flint Rem. It will be. Rem didn't get much action during the tournament. But he'll try to eat some innings here.
I'm not quite sure how to help you with that.
And he faces Bishop. Nobody on base. 451. And Bishop will ground out here to Frisch for the first out. Brings up Mule Haas. 402, and that's going to be another ground out to second. So 2 up, 2 down. Well, for Rem at least. And Cochran steps in. He's 1 for 3 today with an RBI single in the first. 336. That's another base hit. Little dribbler in the infield. It's 11th Philadelphia hit today, and we're only in the 5th inning. Al Simmons. That will become a 656. And another wild pitch, the second wild pitch of the day for the Cardinals. Just hasn't been their day on the mound. 356. That's another base hit, this time to right field. And with 2 out, I think with 2 out, the runner always tries to score. So single to right. Challenge will be 23 plus 0. He's going to score easily on this one. In fact, it's going to be an overthrow. So 23 plus speed is 26. The outfield arm in right field, Watkins, is only a 6. So he's going to score on the base hit. And then on the throw, I believe Simmons will move up on the throw. Let's see. Challenges and overthrows. All right. Overthrows. Thrower commits a throwing error if both 10-sided dice are higher than their fielding, and they are in this case. Advancing runner is safe. All runners, including the advancing runner, advance 1 additional base. Okay. So Simmons is going to move to second on the error. And it was a throwing error. The third error for the Cardinals, by the way. That was an error on Watkins. So Simmons now on second base. And Fox steps in with 2 out. 116, and that's a dribbler back to Flint. He will take it over to first for the third out, but not before yet another run scores. And actually, because that score was a score on an overthrow, it's an unearned run because it was on the error. All right. So 11-0 here as we head to the 6th. This has been a crazy game 1. And Grove will face off against Sparky Adams here in the 6th. 274, and Adams is a righty. That's going to be a pop up in the infield, and Williams will haul that in for out number 1. That brings up George Watkins, who had a double in the 4th. 496, not this time. That is a grounder to first. Fox takes it to the bag himself for out number 2. Frankie Frisch 159. And that's a fly out to right. Miller hauls that one in, a 3-up, 3-down inning. This game is just not going well in any way, shape, or form for the Cardinals. We head to the bottom of the 6th. Rem will face off against Bing Miller. And that's going to be another base hit. 692. A double, a leadoff double for Miller. Philadelphia has had an easy time getting their leadoff runner on base. Jimmy Dike steps to the plate. And that's going to be another base hit. 682. That is going to be a single, and that's going to score Miller. So, run number 12 for Philadelphia. Dyke's not going anywhere. Dib Williams steps to the plate. 419. And finally, the Cardinals get a little bit of luck here with a double play ball. 6-4-3, Gelbert to Frisch to Collins for the double play. So 2 down, nobody on now for Eric McNair. McNair came into this tournament hitting under 100, but is 2 for 3 with a home run and a double. And it's going to be another error here on this time on Frisch. The 4th Cardinals error of the game. And that's the 2nd time McNair has reached base on a Frisch error. Just this game. Max Bishop. 293. Deep right field. 16. That's a 14 plus 2. Deep right field, 16. That is deep and at the wall. But Watkins has just enough room. That was nearly a 2-run homer. But Rem gets out of the inning with just 1 run allowed. Just 1 run. We head to the top of the 7th. Philadelphia, 12-0. Bottomley steps in. 5-14. And that's a base hit. A leadoff single for Bottomley. Right up the middle. Grove couldn't get a glove on it. And brings up Hafey, who struck out both times up so far. 3-0-2. And that's going to be strikeout number 3 for Hafey. It's kind of the way the Cardinals game has gone here. Hafey, who was hitting well over 400 coming into this game, is 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts. Pepper Martin, 267. And that's strikeout number 2 for Grove this inning. Ripper Collins. Did that roll? I think it did. And that's strikeout number 3. I'll have to check the tape on that one. I'm pretty sure it rolled. And strikeout number 3. 3 straight strikeouts for Grove in the 7th. We head to the bottom of the 7th. The game is out of hand. Cardinals just trying to get through this so they can focus on game 2 tomorrow. Mule Haas. 163, and he walks him. So once again, Philadelphia gets their leadoff runner on base, or leadoff batter on base. And Mickey Cochran steps in. He's 2 for 4. 451. And that's another base hit, this time to center field. Haas will hold at second. Rem isn't subject to fatigue yet. And he may just be left in to eat some innings anyway. But Al Simmons steps in with the runners on first and second. And they're going to get some luck here as Frisch gets an easy double play ball. Frisch to Gelbert to Collins, 4-6-3. And that gives 2 outs now. But Haas moves to third. Jimmy Fox, 5:37, and that's going to be a base hit. Fox hadn't had a base hit today, but he comes through here to score the 13th Philadelphia run and brings up Bing Miller, 144. And it's a pop-up on the infield to short for out number 3. So we head to the 8th. Grove in control here. 6:56. It's a wild pitch, but nobody on base, so we will re-roll that. 5:92, and that's a fly out to Miller and right for out number 1. Jimmy Wilson, 0 for 2 today. 221 on the tournament, not very good. 449. And that is a dribbler back to Grove. And he will throw over to Fox for out number 2. Gets us back to the top of the order. Adams is 0 for 3 today. 288. But this one's going to be deep to left. Adams not with much power, though. Deep left, 9. It is enough for a single. So a base hit here in the 8th for Adams. And that brings up George Watkins, who doubled in the 4th. He's 1 for 3 today. 420. That is a grounder to second. And Bishop will flip to Williams. And another scoreless inning for the Cardinals. So Grove, 1 inning away from a first game shutout here in the 1930s World Series. But first, Rem will try to get through the bottom of the Philadelphia order, starting with Jimmy Dykes. Dykes is 2 for 4 today. And that's a comebacker. Dribbler back to Rem. Rem fields it cleanly and over to first for out number 1. Dib Williams, he's also 2 for 4 today. 154. And that's a pop-up on the infield and hauled in by Gelbert for out number 2. Cardinals have not had a 1-2-3 inning yet today. Let's see if they have one here in the 8th. McNair has been on base every time. Of course, 2 of those by error. 352, and it is a clean inning. And that one's popped into foul territory, and Collins will haul that one in for out number 3. It took them 8 innings, but they finally got a 1-2-3 inning. And Frankie Frisch steps in for the Cardinals here in the 9th. Philadelphia fans have had a lot to cheer about today. They're on their feet, hoping Grove can get the shutout here. But I'll have to do it through the heart of the Cardinals order. 399. He will not get the shutout, as Frisch takes this one deep for the first Cardinals run. Home run by Frankie Frisch. Spoils the shutout here by Grove. And Grove will face Bottomley here. And that's actually, Grove has 1 level of fatigue. He's a 7, but he had a shutout going. So he will have 1 level of fatigue as he faces Bottomley here. 453. And that's a double by Bottomley. Grove may be tiring a little bit as he's given up back-to-back hits here in the 9th. Hafey steps in. Hafey struck out every time up so far. 227. Oh, he's not going to strike out. He grounds this one to short. And Williams takes that one over to Fox for out number 1. And on a 6-3. Yes. Bottomley will actually move to third on the play. They are not playing in at all. Grove faces Martin. 157. That's a fly out to right, not deep enough to score Bottomley here. He'll have to hold it third. And Philadelphia crowd still on their feet, getting loud here. 2 outs. Ripper Collins, 498. And fittingly, a strikeout to end the game for Lefty Grove here. Effectively one bad pitch away from a shutout here in game 1. Grove just dominating. Hallahan gets the loss. Cardinals, just that 1 run, 6 hits, 4 errors. Philadelphia, 13 runs on 16 hits, no errors. The Cardinals will just try to forget this game ever happened, as they just get demolished in game 1 of this World Series. Philadelphia, some thought maybe the long time off might show a little rust. They might have a little rust on them, but definitely not, as they were just firing on all cylinders in this game. Just 1 inning that they went down 1-2-3. They scored in almost every inning, other than the 4th and the 8th. Every other inning they scored. Just incredible. An incredible performance by Philadelphia here. An incredible pitching performance by Grove, who struck out 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 batters. And again, just made that one mistake in the 9th to Frisch. Other than that, stellar performance by Grove. And so Philadelphia takes game 1 of this World Series in a commanding fashion. We'll see what happens tomorrow. I believe the starters tomorrow will be Burley Grimes for the Cardinals and Rube Wahlberg for the Athletics. So, hopefully you enjoyed that blowout of a game. If you didn't know anything about season ticket baseball, hopefully you learned a little bit about season ticket baseball in the process. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, consider subscribing so you don't miss the next games of this World Series. And until next time, have a great evening.